As soon as there was a horse-drawn carriage tragedy that involved a human being, people started paying attention. Welcome to the Hen Report from our hen house. I'm Jasmin Singer.
I'm Mariann Sullivan.
And we're so excited to be here. Actually, I'm especially excited because I missed you all last week.
Yes, Michael was here instead of you.
And thank you, Michael. He did a phenomenal
Michael
job.
Dorff,
per usual.
constitutional law professor at Cornell.
And just a reminder for Michael, in case he's forgotten how to listen to our hen house. Michael, our hen house comes out multiple times a week. Rising Anxieties comes out on Tuesdays, the Hen Report on Thursdays, the long form interview on Fridays, and Bonus for Flock members comes out on Mondays. We are on YouTube. We're on all of the podcatchers. We would really appreciate it if you hit subscribe, if you hit like, and if you commented where you listened. The YouTubers I follow say that all the time, and
I know.
I don't do it very often, and I feel like I need to.
I do it every time.
Do you?
Yeah.
You're a better person than me.
But I wonder, because it's annoying. But they do it all the time, so it obviously matters.
It does matter. It matters a lot, especially for people, YouTubers who that's their income.
Well, it just never occurs to me that there are new people listening
to our hen house.
Yeah, I just think it's the same people who have always listened that they still do, and nobody ever joins. I hope that's not true.
So I wasn't here.
Well, I hope it is true that everybody who's ever listened is still listening, but
why wouldn't they?
I can't even think of one reason.
Maybe it's that we spend the beginning of the podcast talking about how great we are. So I was in New York City. That's why I was not on the Hen Report last week. I was on vacay, and I was spending time first with my
I had mentioned that you had family business to take
care of.
Yeah,
first my sister-in-law. Well, my sister-in-law and niece, my 16-year-old niece, came over for a few days, and that was exciting. And then I went to New York City and spent time with my mom. But I have to tell you, my niece, who I'm obsessed with, like, she's just so fantastic, needs to make a comment every time she has vegan food that this tastes vegan. And then she'll say, I'm not saying it's that
tastes vegan?
She'll be like, this definitely tastes vegan. And
I think a blind taste test is called for.
And then she'll say, it's good. I'm not saying it's not good, but it tastes vegan. And I was like, oh my God. Like, come on.
I don't even know what that means. Like, it's just clearly she's deluded. But I don't know in what way. Maybe it was healthier but you could maybe the vegan food that you were eating was healthier than the food that she normally eats, or it had more vegetables in it, or
no. We went to Swillburger, which is like an arcade and bar, and they got a vegan chocolate milkshake, and I tasted it, and it was like, oh my God, it was decadent and like creamy. It's just amazing. And she's like, this is amazing. I mean, it tastes vegan, but it's like really good. I'm like, oh God, like, have I had no influence on you?
Well, I don't think that's influence. I mean, I think that she just thinks that.
Yeah, I don't think she thinks that. I think she feels the need to do a little dig.
Oh,
like just
a
little
I don't
dig.
know her well enough. I didn't realize she was mean.
She's not mean. She's like a lovely human being. She's 16 and she's being 16. When I was 16, I was just, very like a little combative all the time. Not a lot.
You're
just
still a little combative all the time.
I am not. Get it? But I'm not. I'm like the nicest. I'm like a go with the flow. I'm just like
the nicest.
All right.
We were going to say I am the nicest.
Well, so
you have your moments. I agree. You actually dip into people pleasing a little bit, especially when you don't like somebody. You're extra special nice.
Yeah.
And since you like me, you're hardly ever nice.
Oh my God.
So
when I was in New York City, you were very nice because you kept texting me like where to eat, which is funny.
Did you plan that trip for 1 minute?
Yes, we saw Broadway shows and
But you didn't plan the food. It was
I did. I planned the food. I planned
you would text me at like 5:30 and say, where should we eat tonight?
No. I planned a Nixie, which is I've been there before. You've been there. It's phenomenal. It's Greek, I think, like Greek and Middle
Yeah, it's
Eastern.
really good. It's
And
a very elegant, like,
very nice.
really nice night out. Yeah.
Actually, I have a funny story about that. I'm not sure if I told you that. So I was there with my friend Sarah. This is before my mom got there. I was there with my friend Sarah, who's a vegetarian, and we ordered a bunch of stuff. And at one point, and the restaurant's totally vegan. And at one point, we're eating, and Sarah like kind of stops chewing, and she goes, "This is," and she said, "You're gonna freak out. I think this is steak." And it was like, "The restaurant's vegan." And she was like, "Are you sure this really tastes like steak?" And it wasn't like a fake meat. It was, like, made out of, like, eggplant or something. And so I, like, Google it,
I
and
mean,
it's
she
like,
hasn't
yeah.
eaten meat in a long time,
No,
so
but
there's that.
in a I was
They
like,
make a steak out of eggplant? Yeah, now I really wanna go.
I think it was eggplant. I might be wrong. But, anyway, I love that restaurant so much. And then I also did plan PS Kitchen, which is just in the theater district. It was quite literally next to the theater where we had just seen
Yeah,
the
it's very
show.
convenient. I also love it. I think it's a
Yeah,
great restaurant.
I've been there so many times that I think it's just PS Kitchen to me, but it plays a really important role in my visits. And but yeah, you told me some other places to go, and I'm not a foodie, so I'm sure I'm
You went
disappointing
to,
all the.
Beyond Sushi. I haven't been to a
Yes.
Beyond Sushi in years and years and
Yeah,
years, and
it
noticed a
got
bunch of them.
fancier. It got fancier. Like, I thought it was gonna be, like, just a, dip in, dip out, and it was
Yeah, it
like,
used to be just some counter space on, like, on
yeah.
14th Street, a tiny little hole in the wall.
Mhm.
That's always nice to see.
Yeah, that is nice to see. And it was nice to be in New York, our home for so many years. It's funny how everything changes and yet nothing changes about New
That
York.
is totally New York.
Yeah,
Totally. It's
exactly.
exactly the same, and it's completely different.
Actually,
I don't understand how that works.
I had taken time off from World Shapers, and I had a meeting with my colleague, when I came back, and I was like, "So how did everything go?" And she said kind of the same thing. She was like, "I have so much to tell you, but also nothing happened." Like, it's kind of everything is a dichotomy,
That is
and
so profound.
well, she said to me, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, "I mean, I don't understand anything, but I'm fine." She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I don't understand how being like doing house chores can be a full-time job. I don't understand why my dog's eyes are squinty." He's fine now, by the way. It was allergic reaction that Benadryl helped. "I don't understand why people eat animals, but also I'm fine." Like, I'm fine and, like, nothing's fine. That's just the world, I think, and
Yeah,
that's
I
just
mean,
existence.
I always when people ask me how I am, I always say, "I'm fine," in context.
Oh, I like that, I'm gonna steal that. Alright, so
It's much
let's
shorter than your version.
per usual, per usual.
For huge.
So there's a vegan environmentalist appointed to direct New York City food policy,
Yeah,
which is
this is cool.
cool.
I
Yeah.
really love that his name is Siddhartha.
Yeah.
Where's this Siddhartha Sanchez. He's a lifelong vegan and environmentalist.
That's
There's
amazing.
not that much more to the story than that. I mean, I think they're trying to, like, be progressive about their food policy. A lot of changes going on in New York City. And,
And also
they're
no
opening
changes at all.
and they're opening up those grocery stores that they've been talking about, which are apparently supposed to be the 5 public-owned grocery stores in underserved neighborhoods. There's all this, like, brouhaha about how it's socialism, or communism or some nonsense. And, but I was interested to see that those grocery stores are going to be selling affordably priced food essentials. I really wanna find out what kind of food they have in them. What do they consider food essentials? That'll be interesting. And, so they're doing a lot. He's
That's
really,
cool.
big on food justice, strengthening community-led solutions, expanding access to healthy foods. The story is not really a vegan story. He's just a vegan person, and I think it's so cool that a vegan person was assigned
I
to
do
that job.
too. I love that for us. New York City had some other news. I mean, we've covered the
Have we
horse-drawn
d
carriages. quite a lot.
Did we talk about the accident? I can't even remember. It's been so long.
No, not while not unless you did with Michael, no. But there was,
I don't think I did.
As soon as there was a horse-drawn carriage tragedy that involved a human being, people started paying attention.
Well, there was a tragedy involving a horse, like, just, I don't know, a month or two ago. But so this was a crazy accident. People have probably heard about it. This was a while ago. It was in the end of June. And so apparently the driver, because, these people are really highly trained professionals, got out of the carriage with this a family of 4. They're from India. They're tourists. Family of 4. He got out so he could take a picture of them sitting in the carriage. And the horse, my understanding is that the horse spooked, which is not surprising. It was, of course, there was no driver, so just started to run off. The mother actually fell out, and she was okay. And then the son either jumped or was also
no, he jumped. He tried to help. He tried to save his mother.
That's the way I had heard it.
Yeah, he tried to save his mother.
But in this article, it starts off by saying that he fell, which I thought was very peculiar, because everything else I've heard was jumped. He saw his mother fall off and he jumped and he hit his head and he died. He was just a kid. He was 18 years old.
18, yeah, and they were tourists.
Yeah,
probably thinking this was the great American experience.
I mean, people have probably heard this story. I don't want to, like.
But then,
so this. If they can't end horse and carriages in New York City this time, it's just hopeless. And, everybody's on it. Voters for Animal Rights and other organizations are really on it. It's just, I just find it so outrageous that they feel like they have to do so much for the drivers in order to end this hideous industry. Other industries go out of business. They don't find a new job for everybody.
I mean, there's also as far as I know, I think there's replacement ideas, for other types of ethical.
But so on July 15th, the city council is holding a hearing. They're now calling it Romanche's law. Romanche is the name of the young man who died. And it would permanently end the horse and carriage industry, send the horses to loving sanctuaries, and help drivers transition to new employment. Like in no other industry, like an industry, your business goes out of business. Like you don't get a new job, but
except for dairy transition programs.
Totally. Denise. We're not. That was the name of the horse that died the week before. It was Denise. So they're really calling, if you're in New York City, they're really calling on people to go and testify. You have to arrive by 8:30 a.m. on July 15th. And it also says you can testify in person via Zoom or submit written testimony. I'm assuming they mostly want people from New York City. But, like, this is the moment. If this isn't the moment, there's just never going to be a moment. And this is bigger. I mean, obviously it's worth doing because of those horses. Who are constantly cycled in and out of this like abusive industry. But it's also, this is an iconic issue in this movement, I think. Like this, everything that happens in New York gets a lot of press. And if this is ended, it's going to be heard like everywhere. And other cities, a lot of other cities have already ended it. Philadelphia most recently. And even more are going, people, it's not even just that other cities will end it. It's a sign that people are paying more attention to what we're doing to animals. And it's a sign that's going to get a lot of press and a lot of notice. I think that anyway. I think it's even bigger than the issue itself. And the issue itself is big, but it's a very symbolic issue that we are entering a new way of thinking about what we do to animals. And so everybody who's in New York, please consider going and testifying or showing up, or just to show yourself, and anybody else who can come up with a way to do something or to donate or whatever. I think this is an important moment in our movement. Do you agree? There's something, maybe it's just because I used to live in New York City and I've known about this issue for a million years. And it's been fought for a million years and gotten not nowhere.
Well, I mean,
there's a little progress.
Samesies, I also, as I've of course lived in New York City for many years, and I remember right when I started as an animal activist, I remember helping out with an event that was a fundraiser for banning the horse-drawn carriage industry. The organization was, let's see, if I could say the name, the New York City voters, humane voters. You know, it was
Do you mean Voters for Animal Rights?
No, it was the New York City's coalition. I don't remember. It doesn't exist anymore. It was John Phillips's organization.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. But sadly, sadly they closed because they did a lot of really great work pushing legislation, and this was a big focus of theirs. And I remember helping out with an event there in, I think it was like 2007 probably. And there was a lot of energy amongst us activists. And now we're 20 years later. And just to revisit what I said earlier, everything changes and nothing changes. I agree with you that if there ever was a moment, this is the moment.
And I think it's extremely important. I mean, beyond the importance of the issue itself, it's a hugely, if they win this, that really sets us back.
Well, speaking of winning things, let's talk about
And by the way, they've started up having the carriage rides again. They stopped for like a week. Why did they stop? I don't know.
Well, you know, when I was,
you're going to start again. And this kid's father is furious. I mean, clearly they just didn't, they were naive about it. They didn't know what they were getting into. And he's furious that they started up again.
Yeah, well, good. I mean, I can't even imagine what he must be what both of this kid's parents must be going through. When I was in Midtown, there were I saw multiple pro-animal billboards, and including the horse-drawn carriage one with, it had a picture of a horse down, and it was like dated the week before the billboard was up. And then there was like a Go Vegan billboard in Times Square, near Times Square as well. So that was fun.
I do think that there's something in the air. I mean, I do. I think that our issues are just getting a different kind of attention than they used to. It's very delicate. I'm not saying that, there's some big change going on, but there's something going on. I mean, obviously, political situation in the country is in an unbelievable moment of flux. And it's these moments where people are more open to things at certain moments in time. People just plod through their life. People just plod through their life and don't really pay a lot of attention. And there are moments when policy and compassion and suffering kind of become more obvious. And I do think that's happening. I mean, one of the things is, we've talked about this before, but this is a really interesting article about it. It's in I got it off of Yahoo, but what's the name of it? And TC. RFK Jr.'s quiet push to end animal testing wins rare bipartisan praise in Washington. This is a good article because it kind of puts it all together. And, the article is fully aware that RFK Jr. is not popular in really a lot of ways. Few issues have brought RFK Jr. much cross-party goodwill on Capitol Hill, but his effort to phase out the use of animals in medical research is doing just that. Think about that trying to save animals in research, no less, is actually a political win, and they're recognizing that. So there's this stuff we talked about at the NIH, creating this Office of Research, Innovation, Validation, and Application, and the FDA. The NIH is going to stop awarding grants that rely solely on animal testing. The FDA issued a draft guidance earlier this year on alternatives, and people in in Congress, I think, are worried about like how to get this right. And because all of a sudden people out there seem to care. They're talking about Senator Cory Booker's FDA Modernization Act 3.0, which has been hanging around for a while, actually might start moving. Really fascinating. I mean, this is the moment. I'm telling you, this is the moment.
Well, and one of the reasons that this is the moment is, and we keep covering this, and we will continue to, the Beagles. And so update us on what's going on with Ridglan Farms.
Well, I'm not sure I have any update itself on Ridglan Farms. I talked about, because I talked about it on Rising Anxieties, the latest. If you want to listen, if you haven't listened to that, go back for more detail on the charges that have been laid. But I had talked about a situation before, and I wanted to give an update on it. This is the thing that was going on at the University of Wisconsin in Madison,
Right.
And this is a press release from the Animal Activist Legal Defense Project at the University of Denver. And I keep saying, like, where would we be without this law clinic? Attorneys applaud UW-Madison decision that exonerates student animal rights group for publicizing Ridglan Farms protests. And this was this ridiculous situation. There's this animal rights group at the University of Wisconsin, and they were passing out a flyer promoting Save the Beagles events at Ridglan, and they, like, just exercising their rights to free speech. And it was just telling, like, people where it was going to be, and that there was going to be a protest. And it included a QR code. It linked to a Google Doc that contained instructions for contacting authorities, also for signing a petition, also for making donations. And then it contained that Google Doc then contained a link to a blog by Wayne Shang, which discussed both protesting and openly rescuing. And the university contended that these students were promoting illegal activities because of that. And these students were in all sorts of trouble for handing out a leaflet about a protest. And so the Animal Activist Legal Defense Project jumped in and represented them. And also, I think that FIRE, I forget what that stands for. It's a really, really good First Amendment law firm. I've interviewed one of their lawyers about a protest. I think it was in Houston. And there's a quote from their attorney: "We're thrilled that this unwarranted investigation into protected speech is over. We hope that going forward, members of all sorts of student clubs can share their views freely and enjoy standing up for what they believe in." I really like the way they put it, because FIRE is very adamant that they will represent anybody whose free speech rights are. They don't take a side. Right wing, left wing, like, they just want people to be able to express themselves.
Like my buddy David here in Rochester.
I just saw. I sent you a text.
Yeah, you texted me that.
They're representing him now.
I know he's in the news. David Strever, he's in the news nationally because he wrote an email 6 months ago to who did he write the email to?
The guy, the nut job who was, don't tell anybody I said that, who was running ICE, the Bovino.
Right. And so he wrote him an email after those Minnesota killings, and he just basically was like, you should be ashamed of yourself, kind of thing, and you will always have to live with yourself. Like, he was angry, and he sent an email. 6 months later, they showed up at his door, and he was in Finland with his young daughter, but his wife was home with their other child, and they basically were like threatening him and saying, like, this was, there's a threat to us, so we're here. And his wife, who's like a pastor, texted David. David winds up at JFK Airport, and JFK Airport, he goes to sleep at like one of the JFK Airport hotels, because the next day he was going to take a train back up to Rochester, and the feds showed up at his hotel, which
they were tracking him.
Yeah, and he didn't even tell his wife what hotel he was. Like, they were tracking him.
It's terrifying.
And so now he's filing a federal lawsuit.
Yeah.
And so that's how the fire represented.
No,
I went on a tangent, but it feels related.
I love that interview that I did with their attorney. She's like really they really know their stuff.
We'll link to that in the show notes because it's definitely of the moment. And I think that's very, very cool. All right. Where are we? You had some announcements, right?
Yes, I do. Let me find them. All right, one is from ICAW, which I don't know what it stands for. Jasmin, I think I'm talking about this, Google what ICAW stands for.
I want you to, I will only do it if you make it sound like a bird saying it.
ICAW?
Don't you have like a crow
International Council for Animal Welfare.
That was, all right. I think this is fascinating. You disappointed me. I want the crow imitation.
That was as close as I could get. I'm tired. Okay. So this it's just an intricate protest, and they want help with it. So that's why I put it under announcements of things that people can do. And this is about Marriott. And the way they became concerned with Marriott is that they're committed to transitioning to 100% cage-free eggs, which cage-free is a big cause for ICAW, but not their only cause. And they missed their deadline. They were supposed to be 100% by 2015. They were way missed their deadline. Then they recommitted to 2025. They missed that deadline. And so they're heavily using, and they're huge. So that's all over the world. They're using battery cage eggs. And David Marriott is seated on the board of trustees of the National Geographic Society. So they also found out these various things that Marriott is doing, aside from the egg thing, and did an investigation documenting a pattern of animal welfare concerns at wildlife attractions and industrial farming facilities connected to Marriott, and promoted by their tourists. I don't know, however they promote in Thailand, Bali, Indonesia, tiger attractions, elephant entertainment, Kopi Luwak coffee, which it must be that coffee that they get from somebody's poop. I know you think I made that up, but I didn't.
What just happened?
They do. They feed the coffee beans to some animal, and that is some caged animal, and then they make coffee out of it.
I mean, coffee makes
true. I swear it's true.
Okay.
It might not be like, I might not have the processing exactly right, but people will do anything. I swear. Who came up with the idea for that? Anyway,
I think that all the time. All these Can I just say, I think about that all the time. Like, who was like, those fish eggs look delicious. Let's make it a delicacy.
Yeah, let's eat that.
Let's fatten that duck's liver. What?
No, I know where that came from. The duck's liver. It's like they killed ducks right before they were about to migrate, and ducks actually gorge themselves right before they migrate so they can last for a long time while they're flying. They have a lot of food, and you'd think they'd be heavy, but anyway, they do. And they realized that the liver was more delicious when ducks were just about to migrate. So they thought, oh, I know, we can just stuff them full of food and then kill them, because that's how people are. That's how we roll, us humans. All right. So they did this. That's what Marriott hotels are doing. Not complying with their cage-free policy, plus promoting all of these abusive facilities. And David Marriott, who obviously runs Marriott Hotels, I would assume, he's seated on the board of trustees of the National Geographic Society. So they're doing a protest against the National Geographic Society. I mean, this took a lot of thought, I have to say. And they did protests at a June 26th museum opening, and they're doing an ongoing protest against National Geographic because of this, because they're being totally hypocritical just because some rich guy came along. Nice, wow. Right? Super I like nice. People who are thinking through all of the complications. And I have another you can find out more about that and chime in at natgeohypocrisy.com.
Yeah.
And then I just got this email from Faunalytics, and they've telling me that they've just launched, Faunalytics is the research organization. Amazing, amazing organization. They've just launched what they're calling the Faunalytics lens, and it's free AI research assistant. And it is grounded entirely in their huge library of 6,000 human-written library entries, like actually written by humans. So it's not going out into the internet. So there's no worry that you're going to get like, sometimes you search something on AI and you put it in, it tells you one thing, and then you search it, the same thing again, it tells you something else because it found something else. Well, we're not going to have that problem here because everything that this AI has available to it is vetted. So you can pose a question, just plain language, nothing tricky about it. And it gives you an answer plus citations to the source. And
That's
it's,
awesome.
to help people craft campaigns and give advice on advocacy. And I just think this is incredibly valuable. It mentions that it's honest. This is also rare. It's honest about gaps. When the evidence is thin or a question isn't well covered, it says so rather than guessing. I mean, AI does sometimes guess, but it also just keeps looking until it finds the most obscure, like unreliable piece of evidence that there is. It's completely free. No account is needed, and you can try it at Faunalytics. That's FAUNALYTICS.org/lens.
Okay.
Cool,
We'll link
right?
to all of that. So cool. I love that. And also I'm very intrigued by the ways that AI can be used to support activists.
I know, you're in love. You're in love. You don't need humans anymore.
Well, I watched this movie that I think everyone should watch. It's called Have Fun, Don't Die. But there's another thing.
Oh, right. You did tell me.
Yeah, there's something.
And then I saw the preview and I was like, oh, not now.
It's called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. And it's streaming now, I think on Hulu, or you could rent it. And it is about AI and how we're, someone from the future comes back to now and basically is like, this isn't going to go well unless we intervene now and like create safety measures. And it's just a hilarious movie. There's action in it. There's but it's deeply political and deeply thoughtful. It reminded me of Don't Look Up in a way. And so am I in love? Yeah. Well, I'm in lust with AI, but I also
that's disturbing. I'm having disturbing images.
AI is a really good kisser.
Right.
But I'm also like,
please.
I also think it'll probably destroy us. So it's,
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, like many romances.
Exactly. On that
they end
note,
badly.
Everything is the same, and yet everything has changed. All right, let's call it. I think this was a good discussion about all of the things that are changing and not changing and potentially changing. Thank you for tuning in.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. That's really the important thing. But actually I did, because I'm always privy to your perspectives and I get a front row seat.
Nicely said. Nice
well,
save.
It's true. It's not a save. That's why we started our hen house. You know that. To create a virtual and digital and electronic leash between the two of us so that I can always be the first one to know what you think about something.
What was it that we said earlier? You said that's why we're good together.
Oh, that I've got the energy and you have the knowledge.
All right.
It was something like that. I was like,
yeah, well, you first said, I've got great energy and I have no knowledge. And then I said, I'm kind of the opposite.
Yeah. There you go. And that's our hen house in a nutshell. Thank you for tuning in for the energy and the knowledge and the lack thereof. Subscribe, like, comment on your favorite podcatcher on YouTube, whatever. Donate and become a flock member at ourhenhouse.org/support, and catch our full interview tomorrow. It is adorable because our guests, Joanna and Jared Zellman, are adorable. And I just really loved this interview. So I look forward to getting your thoughts on it, and we will talk to you then.